You're listening to TFP, the fan's perspective.
Let's go.
Can you dig it?
One more time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. This is the fan's perspective.
Let's get it.
I am your host, charlietrix, and I'm here with my brother.
Remise, what's good, everybody?
What's good, everybody? And we got my man.
It's your boy jhanboom. What's poppin'?
jhanboom is back in the building this week. It feels like it's been a while since you've been in the building, John.
You know what I'm saying? Yo, thank God I'm back in the streets, man. You know, I felt a little bit under the weather, then things happen and things like that, but thank God I'm back in it. You know, shout out to all the people still staying tuned, doing the damn thing, representing TFP. You know what's up, baby, you know?
Remy, how you doing today?
Pretty good. Happy Mother's Day coming up right now, so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers.
My mom, all the moms.
Yes,
my mom,
yes.
my sisters, my niece.
Everybody in the fam know.
Let me sit back and get comfortable for this amazing episode we got in store for you. This episode 103. Hopefully you hit the like, subscribe, and all that other good stuff.
You know what time, baby.
Check out some of our old stuff too.
But you know, I just scrolled through the news feed just now just to double check, and topic after topic right now is still the same two things that are you know all over, which is a version of the campus encampment / Israel-Palestine issue going on, or Kendrick versus Drake, which is both of the topics we kind of led with in the last episode. But again, here we are, just about a week later, and almost all of the information from the last episode is completely outdated already.
Pow.
So here we are once again. Let's start off with Drake and Kendrick, because that is what everybody seems to be talking about right now, first and foremost.
For sure.
I think what we are sort of feeling like is we just witnessed the finale. The battles come to a close. It seems like we have a clear-cut winner in Kendrick Lamar. I think the streets have spoken. I'm pretty sure both of you guys agree with that, right?
Yeah, the consensus seems in. Even if it was a much tighter battle for a little while, but at the end, Kendrick pulled away. I will point out that last time we put out an episode, Kendrick hadn't dropped a single response yet. So we were talking about how putting a time limit on the responses was like the wrong way to look at it. Like it's more about the content of the battle, the quality of the music and the rapping and stuff like that. And by the end of that week, Kendrick dropped 2 tracks. Drake responded. Kendrick dropped 2 more, and Drake had another response in like a 3 or 4 day span.
Pow.
So that whole time thing went out the window. There was a ton of new tracks to discuss and disses, starting with Euphoria, and Kendrick pulled away towards the end.
Yeah, and just to add on, like Kendrick's last track was like the ultimate haymaker. And first of all of his tracks that he dropped throughout the battle are like on the top 10 of every board,
Spotify,
every board everywhere. But the last one,
Not Like Us,
is a real bop that everyone seems to be playing, happy to play, and it's pretty wild right now. And I was having this discussion with Remy earlier where I was saying there's something that felt very different for me with this battle. In the beginning, it sort of felt okay, like even up to when we did the last episode. And then everything that came out, taking a step back and looking at it, I was watching political commentators that I watch cover the Drake and Kendrick battle. It was all very weird. When I looked at the battle, I wasn't sure how to feel. Like, I wasn't sure if I felt good about everything that was happening. I thought Kendrick was killing it as far as the music, but everything that was coming out with it just seemed like, holy shit. And I didn't know whether to leave the battle with the feeling like, should we be calling the police on Drake? I don't know what's happening here. So I really do feel weird about it. I'm wondering does anybody else out there feel like I do? It was something felt different about it, and I'm not 100% sure how to feel about it.
So I do want to pull up the OD version of that, and I think this is very, I'm just going to call it a little dramatic on Questlove's part, but I do want to call it out because there are, like, even to me, there was parts of this battle that were off-putting a little bit, but I don't think it overtook the quality of the music. The fact that there was quality rapping and had a whole ton of people actually looking and dissecting lyrics for the first time I've seen in a long time, which was really cool for me as somebody who's really about lyricism and stuff like that. But there was also that quality. And I'm also going to defend why I think this is a little over dramatic, at least to take it to this extreme. But Questlove posted on Instagram, "Nobody won the war. This wasn't about skill. This was a wrestling match level mudslinging and takedown by any means necessary. Women and children and actual facts be damned. Same audience wanting blood will soon put up RIP posts like they weren't part of the problem. Hip hop is truly dead." Oof. And I'm like,
ooh, the real shit coming now. You know what I'm saying?
Didn't work.
Either way,
pow.
to me,
Banana Republic stuff.
I think that's a little dramatic. So I felt a type of way for some of it, but then when Questlove came out this extreme and was like, hip hop is dead because of this, like making it sound like this is proof, I just felt like, bro, you're taking it way too far as to the extreme of it, especially in a year when there's been so much good hip hop coming out. Like, Nas has dropped how many bangers in the last few years? Ghostface just dropped an album. You can find a lot of the OGs dropping good hip hop. You have this battle is the biggest thing in the news globally. To say hip hop is dead, I think that's extreme. But also, I went back because I was thinking, man, there was a lot of flagrant shit in old diss tracks. So I put together a little playlist of some of the most disrespectful beefs, and I listened to them. I really sat and listened to them. I pulled lyrics up and read through them, like looked at what some of the history of the beefs were, just to refresh my memory, because I grew up with these and they never gave me that little gut feeling of Jesus, but they probably should have, some of them. So for my list,
before you go through the list, just want to say about Questlove's post that I kind of understood the sentiment about what he was getting at, except for the part about hip hop being dead. I did feel like the first half of his tweet, I kind of got what he was getting at.
Come on now.
Mudslinging. And it got a little hectic for me in there too when I was listening. So that I understood. Is something felt a little strange about this one overall. But I do agree with you that this is definitely not the time, in my opinion, to say hip-hop is dead. Hip-hop seems more revived than ever.
And this has actually put a battery in the back to me, regardless of how you feel about, where the content went. But I'd also throw out that I don't think there's anything in Euphoria that should cause some gut reaction, personally. I think even push-ups, there was a very mild, like he said, he dropped Whitney's name, but he didn't say what that was about. But they were both kind of like, let's keep it rap. And it's not until Drake comes out with Family Matters and really starts taking it to, the speculation and rumors part where things take a real turn south. But to talk on the flagrancy of some of the old disses, I want you to make a playlist, listen to these tracks back to back. Hit 'Em Up by Tupac, of course.
Pow.
Fuck with Dre Day featuring Snoop Dogg. They say some craziness. There's even a part in one of the interludes. Dre says, put down the candy and let the little boy go. Just saying. DJ Quick's Dollars and Cents is one of the hardest diss tracks of all time. We're East Coast heads, but the West Coast may have the toughest diss track of all time with that one. I also wanted to mention Jay-Z brought up women and children too when he did the Super Ugly freestyle and said he left used condoms on the back seat of Nas's car.
Whoa.
And also, even the nice guys of hip hop in the 90s got absolutely assaulted on wax, which is Kid and Play. Uncle Luke has a diss track to Kid and Play that I never listened to until recently, hearing about it, and I was like, oh my God, Jesus. And it's called Pussy Ass Kid and Hoe Ass Play. Payback is a motherfucker.
Oh,
so
that's the whole title.
I just want y'all to listen to those tracks and then listen to the Kendrick and Drake beef again and tell me if you really do think that there's such a big difference, because I don't know. It's always been flagrant. It's always been disrespectful.
I can pinpoint.
There's always been speculation.
I can pinpoint one major difference right now, just out of looking at that lineup, which is not a single one of those songs when they were done, and I was like, oh, he roasted them. Every one of those finished, and I felt like I had just heard a battle. And this one finished, and I wasn't sure if I had to call the cops or report something, because it was pretty wild. Seriously, like honestly,
It was crazy.
there was something that just felt weird. I get it with the lyrics, but I just don't remember having that feeling after I heard even that Dr. Dre shit. You know, with let the wife and kid go, or what, you know, the statement.
Put the candy down and let the little boys go. Yeah, definitely not like, that. Although there's also like Snoop Dogg talking about Tim Dogg's mom using homophobic slurs. There's like levels of disrespect here where I'm like,
but is it because we're just in a more sensitive era?
Yeah,
and like I'm caught up in
wondering.
being more sensitive myself, and I'm just like,
that's what they
what's
saying.
happening here? Like I don't. But the thing is, like I watch, you know, rap battles where they're tearing each other apart in the most disrespectful way, and I don't get the same feeling.
yeah. We could
You know.
also talk about some rap battles that get to extremes where like Jefferson Price versus Caustic or Kid Caustic. I'm not sure which name he was
Now
going by at that
some do
point.
seem a little over the top.
That was a divorce causing battle that ended a marriage. There's also Q Shinobi versus Caustic. Q Shinobi points to his girlfriend in the crowd before Caustic absolutely violates on her. And then there's also Marv 1 versus Pat Stay, where Pat Stay, rest in peace, one of the greatest battle rappers of all time, spends an entire round talking about Marv 1's mentally disabled little brother in the most disrespectful way possible. And I would also point out, like, Chris Brown telling Quavo that he wished he died instead of Takeoff.
That's terrible,
like,
man.
there's a lot of flagrant, like, to me, beef and battles are like roasts. Like, you just watched well, maybe you didn't. To audiences, Netflix just dropped the roast of Tom Brady, right? There are all these comedians, and they said a lot of flagrant shit and violated on each other. But there's almost like, there's no too low. I guess there is a line, but that line gets very blurry when you're watching roast and roast battles.
There's a very low.
Yeah,
It's pretty low.
You gotta kick him in the nuts, man.
It's
you gotta
pretty
kick him in the
difficult
nuts.
to break through to that, like, this is that
But
place.
I will say
And
this.
This battle, it could. I'm not saying you're wrong for feeling different. There were lines, like, Jesus, the bop having lines in it that are so, like, straight up anti-pedo is like, Jesus Christ. But at the same time, I almost walked away, and then I'm looking at the other beefs, and I'm like, man, Kendrick finished us up with, he gave us a bunch of positive affirmations and messaging hidden in all this flagrant, awful shit. Because people are coming away from this battle, and the guy who won the battle said, being a deadbeat dad is lame. Being authentic is good. Raising your children and teaching them and guiding them is good. Respect your identity and own it. And he gave a history lesson on Atlanta. Like, there are a lot of moments in the battle where Kendrick's actually saying things that are pointing the culture towards positive things.
Yeah, but
even though it went to such a dark, horrendous place.
But let's get
also,
back to...
and of course, grooming is bad, and I think everybody agrees with that, and that's what the last song is essentially about.
That's where right there you
It's
can't,
going
maybe
down.
maybe you just touched on it. Grooming is bad.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the big difference here? At the end of Pat Stay's battle with Marv 1, they shook hands and hugged and went for a drink
Ain't
together.
nobody hugging this time.
This seemed like, let me end your career real quick.
Pow.
Yeah.
And, that's why I said, like, I felt maybe I just felt too grossed out about hearing this information about Drake. And then my question was, is this all legit? Is this real? Because if it is, it almost seems like, this guy's probably going to have a case coming down pretty soon. But if it isn't real, if there's no case that pops up, what does that mean? Does that mean everybody else is just turning a blind eye again? Or was this just for the battle? It definitely felt a little weird to me, so I kind of understand. But I will say it's definitely not the most flagrant. And kudos to Kendrick Lamar. He delivered, a song about a terrible thing in a way that's like probably going to be the summer bop.
And as a summer bop, it is completely against that terrible behavior. It is like the antithetical to that behavior. And that's why I think it's fair to be a bop. And I think, like, yeah, people should dance to Hell No, you are not like us if you're into that nasty shit. That's a great message to me.
Well, it's going to be bopping because It's kind of already there.
everywhere.
So it's
it
happening.
played during the NBA playoffs commercial breaks on
Whoa.
TNT.
Yeah, seriously.
The
Come on
LA
now.
Dodgers had it as walkout music for their
Come on now.
batters. I've seen weddings playing it when they played BBL Drizzy. That's another song. If you haven't heard BBL Drizzy, the Metro Boomin beat, it's a diss beat. It's just
Whoa.
a beat.
Let's
and
get-
Metro still hit.
Let's get John's take because we've
Yeah.
been hogging up the mics here. John, Kendrick and Drake is kind of at the finale right now.
That's what's going down.
What do you think?
Yo, so I gotta just simple with it, man. You know, I like that Kendrick is. I mean, I feel like Kendrick essentially was gonna win, which he did lyrically. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I just don't like some of these rappers coming from the grave up and doing kind of like starting off with diss tracks. Like, is Kendrick gonna give us some more regular music, or he's just gonna just diss Drake and just leave and go back to his studio cave and shit? Like, what are we getting a little bit more than just a little? You know, because even though Quavo and Chris Brown's beef is not at that level of lyrical and all that, but they are gonna continue to give us regular good music after that beef. So is this gonna continue? I know Drake is, but what's up with Kendrick? Is he just gonna fuck Drake up and leave? And like, what the fuck, man? And the other thing that's funny about all these beefs is that all the other like elements that have triggered, you know, like Shaq releasing a diss track to Shannon Sharp, you know, and all these little other beefs. The Game is trying to come back at Rick Ross, so there's a lot of funny
Now,
shit also behind the scenes that I think
Did
is cool.
Shaq start that, or did I
No,
thought
no,
Shannon
Shannon started it, but you
But
know,
Not on wax.
not on wax.
Twitter,
So
on Twitter. And
Does Shannon
his
even rap?
podcast.
Does Shannon rap?
He don't.
Let me find out.
That's
Shannon Sharp
but-
got bars.
You know what I mean? So it's a funny thing to see that triggered into these type of other things, you know. So I think it's lighter, you know, like you guys were saying earlier, it's lighter, be more positive. Is like showing fucking that Shaq he can still rap and shit. You know what I mean?
Well, honestly, that diss, yikes,
Yeah,
bro.
I know.
You need some extra writers for that one. That was a bad one, Shaq. I'm sorry. And I actually
but
think
yo, I
Shaq
give
had
it to
some.
him. He got in the booth. He did his.
He got some
you know what I
bangers.
mean? You know what I mean?
But he tried, you know,
Yeah.
and jumping on the beef wave. There was one more thing about positivity I wanted to bring up. Black Thought's response to some of this drama in the Drake and Kendrick beef was my favorite response, was him talking about J. Cole and him saying that the most unprecedented thing to happen in this battle was J. Cole's apology. And he talked about that as like, you know what? You see where this beef shit can go. You see how dark it can get and how personal and how people violate on each other. And Cole has recorded with both of these guys. For all intents and purposes, I'm pretty sure he's cool with both of them. And so he was kind of like, he bowed out. And initially, everybody trashed him for it. It was like, that is not hip hop. But now, in the aftermath of what's gone down, I see a lot of people joking about how Cole is sleeping like a baby right now. He got to just chill, and he could just ride his bike, he could chill on the beach, just do
Drink
him.
coconut
And
water.
But taking the high road worked out. Between Cole and Rick Ross, I think those are the two biggest winners. And Ross did it with, it's not even his song, it's all the trolling he did. And Cole
Great
just,
troller.
he dodged
I
all the
thought-
bullets.
When this was going down, I originally thought J. Cole is in the best position because he can kind of sit back and then he can release a rap song. Oh, that watch the wire because it's pulling the camera. But he can sit back and he can release a rap song where he's effectively just telling a story about everything that went down. And he's so good that he can make such a hot song out of it that he can probably just end up putting out a banger where it's sort of narrating the thing. I thought he was in a good spot to really and just do it in a way where he flexes how good he is, you know, and why he was part of the original conversation to begin with. But after all is said and done, and I had mentioned this earlier to Remy, I actually think Drake is in the better spot right now. A lot of people probably think I'm crazy for saying that. He suffered the last blow, and like I said, everyone's kind of thinking this is the finale, but the war isn't over until it's over.
Pow.
And I feel like Drake has enough now between the artists who came out with the warning information, you know, ahead of time, and you've seen a lot of those clips going around with all of the stuff. If he steps back for 5 minutes, lets the smoke settle, and then pieces something together the right way, I feel like he's in the position to come back and smack a home run out of the park, just based on this. And I don't know. There's something about just something about that. I thought J. Cole was in that spot, but I feel like Drake can use this to his advantage. But my opinion.
And personally, I just think that's too tricky of a thread to needle for Drake. I think Cole and Kendrick have that ability because I just think their pens are more advanced, and that's a personal opinion right there.
Drake is going to give us a banger, though. He's going to give us a #1 Billboard hit, pow, and fuck the game up.
The thing is, that's what's so foul, and we were talking about this, neither of us is skeptical that there's a lot of predatory behavior in the industry. You just got the Diddy story. They have the whole Me Too movement was about predators in high places, and we both agree that Drake is one hit away from a lot of people forgetting all about the accusations and the darker side of this stuff. And that, to me, is like a sad reality of just the way the industry works. But I do think, if Drake were to clap back the right way, he could get back in. He could pull back and get a big counterattack. Or potentially, if he just has enough hits, a lot of people will look the other way, even if there were valid allegations or not.
Yeah, I will say that there's a lot of the KOTD rappers I seen posting that are giving Drake the win based on that comeback, saying it was all a plan, but that sounds real shoddy. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's very.
It's a reach.
We represent the Toronto Battle League that Drake showed up to and supported, kind of stuff. Personally, I think there's some bias involved.
A little bit of bias,
because you look at the West Coast rappers, and they're all, I've seen Pass and the Saurus all shouting out what Kendrick did over that. But to each his own. There's fan bases for both. If you disagree, you disagree. But I think Kendrick caught a body right now, and to be continued. If more happens, and I'm sure we'll cover it.
All right, let's ride that out.
Pow, pow.
I excel and prevail. When I spit, I inhale the universe and exhale. Weed smelling from the cerebellum. This is elemental hip hop. Watch as I develop hardcore, the sand class. I recognize the bars.
Speaking of rappers choosing violence, jhanboom's gonna hit us off with a video that I kind of laughed at. I'm not gonna lie.
So as y'all know, earlier maybe 2 weeks ago, Jim Jones was at Fort Lauderdale Airport going down the escalators when he was caught up in an altercation with 2 Caucasian males. Now, it looks like after careful review, they ruled it out as self-defense. Jim Jones got off, but let's talk about the scuffle, man. My man did a suplex over the shoulder. Good squat. Jim Jones, works out every day, man. Send my man flying. Other dude try to get him with a couple chest punches. Jim Jones took some shits like Iron Man. Nigga held my man down. It was very good to see a black man defend himself in this type of matter.
Jim Jones tosses this dude like his luggage. He literally grabs him by the belt from the back, and it takes a little bit of lugging, but he gets him up and over.
Yeah,
and they're on the middle of the escalator.
There's people ahead of them.
So as he tosses him, this dude flips over and just tumble saws down the escalator. And it was self-defense.
And so that was one thing. The video starts right as Jim Jones is you could see the guy's in his ear, and you don't know what's going on, and Jim Jones grabs him. So I had no skin in the game of who was wrong, but if you keep watching the video, first off, the 2 dudes that went after Jones, they're freaking out. Jones goes and sits down, and he's much calmer after the fact. And I'm pretty sure one of the other dudes swings at one of the cops that's trying to break it up.
During the altercation, man.
He's swinging at somebody else. So that made me think, okay, these dudes are belligerent. But the other thing is, man, Jim Jones used to work out at the same gym I went to, and that dude is strong, dude.
Now he's even jacker, bro. He's even buffer now.
He was actually pretty cool in the gym. He didn't bother anybody. He didn't bother him. I think one time, I heard he did lose his temper with a kid that tried to steal his cell phone. That makes perfect sense to me. So, but yeah, that dude was yoked. He was pushing hella weight. So him tossing that dude is hilarious to me because I'm like, man, why would you start with Jim Jones?
Not today in business class.
Man, Jim Jones is second only to Busta. I would not ever start beef with Busta.
Nah, man.
That's another problem.
Well, that's another one that, I saw someone in the club get these hands as well. There was an issue with Busta Rhymes at the club too. Allegedly they beat one of these dudes up, man.
You know who I heard has crazy hands, and I did not know about? Martin Lawrence. I heard he was boxing when he was growing up, and that he was always down to throw on the come up. Actually, from following up on the Kid and Play story.
All right,
he is a bad boy. So
let's get this show on the road with so. We got Jim Jones whooping ass and essentially, thankfully, ruled in his favor as self-defense.
Pow, for fair lawn, baby, for fair lawn.
Luckily, that didn't turn into a much worse situation like a homicide, which, speaking of, I think we're about to get into a story once again. This is like a review.
So this is
we might
actually
have to do
like
this every 6 months, I think.
A sequel, yeah, because 6 months ago I talked about the data on 2023's homicide rates and how they had been dropping super fast and reaching pre-pandemic numbers. That trend has continued into 2024. So now I have this story from the Wall Street Journal. Homicides are plummeting in American cities. Killings in cities including New York, Philadelphia, and San Francisco are falling from their respective pandemic-era increases. Homicides in American cities are falling at the fastest pace in decades, bringing them close to levels they were at before the pandemic-era jump. Nationwide, homicides dropped around 20% in 133 cities from the beginning of the year through the end of March, compared with the same period in 2023. So that's compared to last year's already big drop, another 20% reduction. And if I go a little further down, if the trend continues, the U.S. could be on pace for a year like 2014, which saw the lowest homicide rate since the 1960s. But police officials and researchers caution that crime trends aren't always consistent and future homicide rates are difficult to predict. So we have this really nice trend. Things are dropping across, across cities, across America. But they do warn, the warm weather's coming. Summer's always when the numbers start to go up. But right now, things are down. And we've mentioned this before, that crime has been down because we were talking about how certain cities were moving to increase police budgets, including New York City, while sacrificing the budgets of everything else. Like New York literally cut budgets everywhere except for their police budget.
Good old Eric Adams.
While acknowledging that violent crime was down everywhere.
Like violent crime, Drink Champs.
Super fat, like dropping precipitously, and it's gotten even faster. But now what they say is we need more police presence in certain places, specifically the subway, because people don't feel safe. And I wanted to quote from the bottom of this article because they quote somebody who doesn't feel safe, even though the numbers are even safer than ever. They're approaching 1960s levels low if they keep up. There certainly isn't as much gun violence or as many murders as there were, but the drug trade is the same, said Alfred Klosterman, a 73-year-old retired graphic artist in Philadelphia. I guess I feel a little safer, but they are still out there. It's like, I just think it's a moving target. You're never going to have crime rates so low that people won't feel unsafe in certain situations. And
well, listen, this is the problem, okay? Specifically with New York City, because I have a couple of personal friends who had the way they speak when we talk about these things is as if there is this crisis of crime in New York. And if you watch certain commentators on YouTube, or if you just read right-wing media, places like The Post, even the New York Times, you will get the impression at some point or another that like New York City is the Wild Wild West. But then in the same week, you'll also get a report with crime data and how it's all down across the board. And then that's why you hear somebody like Eric Adams and Hochul on TV speaking out of both sides of their mouth saying, we need more cops because people don't feel safe. And also, we're the safest city in all of the world. So it's such a nonsensical thing. I hate that this is the situation. But, I'm in and out of New York. Remy works in New York.
Yeah, I'm there all the time.
There is always issues and problems. Yes, things get wacky on the subway here and there. I don't think anything I've seen is something that I hadn't seen for the past 20 years, So maybe it's a little more congested. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. That's what it is. Being there for so long and seeing it, it's not like it's the worst it's ever been. It hasn't been for a long time.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So, it's so annoying to see the news reports come out and then to see your favorite commentator go based on that news report, rightfully so. He's reading the news, he's reporting on it in his show. And then you got a bunch of people who hear that and they're like, yeah, this is the case. New York is a disaster. And then you go to New York and you're chilling in Central Park on a beautiful sunny day with people everywhere, and it's beautiful. You walk down, Times Square, the interactions are beautiful. People are everywhere.
THC everywhere, baby. Come on.
Wild.
And now it's weed friendly.
Come on.
Boom. We were just in the city. We walked around. We went for the Knicks games to a watch party. How did you feel about that city trip? Did you feel unsafe at any point?
I did see some unsafe shit happening, but did I feel unsafe? No, I didn't, because if you step up, you get stepped down if you go for you fuck around. You feel me? So, I used to live in New York. I used to live in the Heights, 193rd and Broadway. You know what I'm saying? Exactly that. If you're used to NYC, you're used to seeing the people. You know how to maneuver through the zombies, just like any other city that you go. That you have different types of people there. You know what I'm saying? Minorities and shit. You feel me? So, it's just knowing the streets. You know what I'm saying? If you know how to maneuver, these guys are in the city. There, you move through it. It's nothing to it. You know what I'm saying? But everybody wants to say that NYC is crazy. Yeah, NYC, but NYC always been crazy.
Yeah, and just like it's just like what Johnny said, right? If you're used to the city,
you know what I'm saying?
There's nothing going on that you haven't seen.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't be uncomfortable. Don't be weird about coming here.
You know what was fun? There's a BBC reporter who rode for 24 hours straight up and down the subway looking for reasons to be worried, and they would break in with her commentary every few hours. And it was funny because she's like, I've spoken with grown men who are terrified and schoolgirls who feel totally comfortable going to school on the subway by themselves. And it was like, yeah, that's because some people are visitors. And that was the other thing she said. Tourists are very nervous on the subway. People from New York City are not nervous, concerned, or bothered.
Yeah, because they're fucking watching YouTube and they're talking about guys you're getting thrown off the platform every 5 minutes onto the, it's insane.
Yeah, and when they work out the actual math, it's like 1 in a million rides ends in some type of situation that's actually anything. It's
people
insane
think
how rare it is.
Like on the subway, you don't on a New York subway, you don't fall asleep on the New York subway like you do on the New Jersey Transit bus. Real comfortable and safe, man. That's what y'all want to do. Y'all want to take little naps in the motherfucking train. It don't happen like that. Last dude I saw a video on Instagram that fell asleep. Someone just slapped him in the back of the head just because. It just too many people couldn't see him. So NYC is NYC. You know what I'm saying?
And that counted as one of the violent crimes.
Yeah, seriously. Anyway, crimes are down. We've been reporting on it. We'll keep doing it.
Can you dig it?
Then talking about crimes, and taking shit.
Is this a crime?
Nah, it's not. It's not a crime. But you can take it how you want.
It feels like a major
controversy.
crime.
So I'm gonna give you a little story that I found very intriguing. So we're going to Los Angeles. This is an article from the Hoodlines. You know what I'm saying? Hoodlines.com. Get your shit from I don't know, man, but let's get it. Orange County Marathon runner disqualified for unofficial aid. Runner-up from San Pedro declared winner. So there's some shit going down out there, man. So marathon runner Esteban Prado's victory at the Orange County Marathon was swiftly taken away from him as he was accused of taking unofficial aid from his father during the race. Prado originally clinched the time Prado originally clinched the time with 2 hours, 24 minutes, and 54 seconds, but later found himself disqualified for a rule violation after spectators and fellow runners witnessed his father providing water and nutrition from his bicycle. Fucked up shit, man. So they said that they caught him red-handed by video and photographic evidence showing him accepting water from 2 individuals on bicycles, one who's dispensing information about his competition. Prado's first place finish was revoked. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
Dispensing
Wait,
information about his competition. What type of tips were they giving him?
But wait, so his dad
Speed up.
His dad pulled up next to him and was handing him water.
Yeah, his dad was pulling up next to him in a bicycle, giving him water. And the reason he said he wasn't using the rehydration stations because they wasn't ready by the time he came around to the station where you qualify to take water.
He was so fast they didn't have water ready for him.
That's what he was saying. He's like, yo, and my dad is on a bike. He's ready to go. You know, hey, go, son. And his dad kept going. So the rehydration station.
Don't slow down. That dude's a minute away.
I don't know. It sounds like if he broke the rules, though, look, maybe his dad should have went ahead to the next rehydration station and been like, he's coming around. Have the water ready.
I mean, I can understand. There's strict rules. Everything has rules. But at the end of the day, I'm on this mic and I can go with my man Prado and say, man, fuck them, Prado. You know what I'm saying? To me, you won because there's no way that accepting water at any part of a race should be a disqualifying factor. It might bring you down from first place to second place, but to completely disqualify him, I think that's fucked up.
I'm so clueless about marathons and marathon etiquette that to me, I was shocked to find out that like there were specific zones. I know I've seen all the little tables out, but I've also seen like people in the crowd with the little Gatorade cup and the runners run by and they grab the cup, they drink it and they just chuck it, probably hit some kid in the head with the cup. But like to me, the whole thing is if you need water and you're running 26 miles without stopping, if you knock out 26 miles in 2 hours and 30 minutes, bro, have as much water as you want. I am impressed. That is a ton of running. So I'm shocked that you have to go to specific spots where you can have another refuel. You know what I mean? I think there should just be water everywhere. They should be spraying water over, whatever,
exactly,
man.
Bro, for sure.
You're running 26 miles.
So,
that's impressive on its own.
So the runner up, we were reading right here. The runner up had like mixed emotions. The one that actually got the winner, the number one spot, he had mixed emotions. He was saying right here, man, it looks like they were blowing shit out of proportion. You know what I'm saying? It's too, he was almost on the same pace that we are right now.
Yeah,
but it also says that that the guy who got caught with the cheating didn't bother to even apologize to anyone or act like he gave a shit. He just, when they asked him about it, he sent word through his mother that said, I've moved on from the race.
Good.
And
hell yeah, bro.
They note that there was no cash prize or Olympic value to the race.
So they got that uptight about it, and there's no prizes, there's nothing.
Ain't shit, man.
There's just pride on the line.
He cheated, and apparently water in between water stations is cheating.
You can only drink water honestly,
you know what I mean?
Marathon people,
Come
if
on
we
now.
have anybody that's a runner, tell me how big are the breaks between these water stations,
Right on.
and how big of a difference would it make if between those water stations you were able to get a little extra spritz? How
it's
big
water,
of an advantage
man.
is it?
Come
it
on
probably
now.
is at
okay,
mile 25.
This is the only thing I'll give you. If the issue is that to get water at the station, you got to pull off, get off your bike and
like
grab
a pit
the water.
stop in
It's
a
a pit
NASCAR
stop,
race.
and so you lose a few seconds that way. If that's the reason, and somebody running next to you or hopping next to you while you keep moving, sipping water is just like a little unfair. For that reason, I could understand. Mm-hmm. But if it's just a getting the water into your system thing for hydration purposes, and he didn't also stop at the hydration station, he just got the one drink he would have there, but on the way, I really don't understand. And maybe I'm wrong. Like you said, if you are into these type of races, what is that? Is it like taking a PED or is this
Right?
nonsense?
Come on now.
Are there limitations?
H2O,
Like, am I
baby.
only allowed one of those little paper Gatorade cups?
I never heard of that shit.
Or can I have like 4 Gatorade cups if I want to just stand at the hydration station? And can I take like 2 handfuls and keep running? Drink one and just hold on to them for a while? Or is there a specific drinking spot? Maybe. Yeah, if you're really good, like you got to keep your arms tight. But
Seinfeld did an episode on marathon racing. Maybe he knows.
yeah, right. We need some marathon experts. Who runs? Talk to us.
All right, if you're a runner or a biker and you watch
foot.
this, hit us up. Let us know the rules, how this works.
Let's
What's
get
the
it.
advantage?
Can you dig it?
All right, I think we got time for one more
Pow.
story on deck. This one was cool and interesting. And Remy, you got this?
Yeah, this was interesting.
Give it to him.
Baby born deaf can hear after breakthrough gene therapy. This is from Cambridge University Hospitals.nhs.uk. A baby girl born deaf can hear unaided. A baby girl born deaf can hear unaided for the first time after receiving groundbreaking gene therapy when she was 11 months old at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge. So, long story short, this girl does not need a hearing aid, and she can hear almost as well as anybody else now. And it was a 15-minute procedure. They gave her a low dose of a certain type of gene therapy. It helped the communication between nerves with her brain as far as being able to make out sound. And they said within a few weeks, at 24 weeks, they confirmed that her hearing was picking up softer sounds in speech. It continued to improve gradually. So this 15-minute procedure made this little girl not need any hearing aids. She's able to hear, and it continued to get better. And it actually reminded me of laser eye surgery, because when I got eye surgery, my vision gradually got better for weeks after, and it was a very short procedure. It's pretty mind-blowing that they can help you see better, and now we're approaching a time where they'll be able to help you hear better.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. That's a really awesome story.
That's dope as shit.
You think about a baby who's never heard their own parents' voice before, and they do something like this, which gene therapy, obviously this is not some intrusive, crazy procedure. Mm-hmm. So
word up.
It's great. It was 15 minutes, and the outcome ended up being something fantastic. And hopefully that's a good sign for people going forward. And I don't know if they say it in that, but I wonder if part of the improvement had to do with getting it at such an early age while developing, or can they apply this to someone who's been deaf and is an adult already? So
they didn't say that. They did say that getting this to children as young as possible is important, because this is the most important part of brain development. So being able to hear gives them just major advantages. So getting it to an 11-month-old who's about to reach that stage where they're hearing the most words, their brain is growing the fastest and developing, it's a very helpful thing. So they did mention that. I think the targets for this would be very young. They didn't get too much into anything else. But there's also there's hearing aids and there are other options, but this is non-intrusive, like you said. And I think they made it sound like it would be affordable. In the long term, it would become a more affordable option than having to buy new, hearing aids and shit like that. But who knows?
The most important piece, ladies and
gentlemen. Can you afford to be not?
Can you afford to hear anything?
Yeah, how it always goes. We got to make a profit. But yeah, so I did want to shout it out. This is the first phase of the study. They only did a low dose to one ear right now. The second phase will involve higher doses to one ear of a different set. And then they'll have another set of patients that they do both ears, assuming those first two stages go right. And there's still a lot to learn about this, because I don't know that they've confirmed that this will be a permanent thing, or if they may need to go back and do more gene therapy, or if there will be any unforeseen side effects. I'm sure they're keeping an eye out. They wouldn't be doing this to babies without some type of lack of concern. They made it sound very safe. But either way, they're doing testing. It's very promising. Pow. It's super cool to me, and it just shows more advances in science that are giving us ways to improve people's lives.
Aha.
Can you dig it?
You know what time?
I think that's legit. I mean, where was this done? Is this a U.S. study?
Let's see. U.S., U.K. I think it was Cambridge, so it might have been overseas.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what time?
Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge.
It's interesting. We talked about on the last episode the urinals that provide the quick testing for men. Is it men or men and women?
It was only urinals, so only men so far.
So yeah, that was a very interesting case and something that could be great. And here we are, another one. Maybe we'll get into the habit of adding some sort of positive advance in science and medical when we do these going forward.
I like these stories.
And once again, well, let me ask you this: How did the Knicks do in that last game?
They lost a heartbreaker at the buzzer.
Damn.
Jalen Brunson is on 1 foot right now. OG Anunoby is out. Mitchell Robinson is out for the rest of the playoffs. Things have taken a turn for the more challenging, but the Knicks lost barely, and Brunson was clearly hurt. There was a lot going bad. So, honestly, it's not the worst. We just got to hope they can heal up in time to be.
Pow. Back in, baby.
Let's go.
Ain't nothing to it.
Let's go, New York.
Yes, the
New
Rangers.
York City, baby. Crazy New York.
The Rangers are 3-0 in the second round. They've got a ton of steam. Igor Shesterkin, the best goalie in hockey right now,
Pow.
doing ridiculous things. So
Stop everything.
that's another team to watch as far as championship aspirations. We may have a parade. We may have two. Who knows?
Damn, 2 parades would be something special.
Man.
2 at one time.
Man, I
All
want to
right.
see.
You-
You know what? There was one other thing I wanted to topic. I wanted to
What was
ask
that?
you about. You went to see Planet of the Apes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, we always do some pop stories, and honestly, you're the third person I've talked to that told me they were going to the movies to see Planet of the Apes right when it came out, and I didn't realize there was that much hype for it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say this. If you're taking my review for Planet of the Apes, just understand that I'm extremely partial to the Planet of the Apes universe. I love every one of those, even the old one with Mark Wahlberg. So,
Even the Wahlberg.
Even
yeah,
the Warburg one.
I'm just,
with
it's
the
just
lasers
one of
and
those
shit.
one of those series for me where I love the whole thing. But I actually thought this one was fantastic. I thought they did a great job. There is very little human activity in this movie. It's almost non-existent for like the first half of the movie, and they managed to put so much realism and emotions in. Like when you see the expressions on the faces of these animals, and they're doing like, you know, human like expressions.
Pow.
I thought the whole thing was great, action packed. It was a little long. There was a moment where I felt it and I was like, oh, this is a little long here, but it quickly jumped back into the action. And yeah, thumbs up for me. I recommend going to see that.
Let's get it.
I am biased for sure.
Yeah, I love those movies. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And also, one of the craziest things to me was I looked on Rotten Tomatoes, and this was the first time I've seen the audience score and the critic score so close. It was 79% audience score, 80% critic score, which is really good in both
Ooh,
avenues.
Let's go get it then.
And normally I expect like critic score 90, audience score 40. But actually this one was like perfectly balanced.
Neck and neck. Let's
Yeah,
go get it.
good movie. And I just heard that they re-signed the lead for Shogun season 2.
No.
I forget the dude's name, but I'm looking forward to that.
Show Gizzy.
Anything
that's-
else before we slide out? You guys want to shout anything out?
It's a little crazy. I'm a little nervous about Shogun getting a sequel series because it was based on a book, and the
Yeah.
book is done, and the original miniseries. And
Ooh,
stuff.
okay.
But you know what, Toranaga, that dude is the man. Everybody else that was in it is the man. I wish we could get more of the Yabushi character. So I hope we get a
Shabalibby,
prequel.
baby.
I'd like a prequel season. But either way, that's all I gotta say. Again, happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Happy Mother's, everybody.
Happy Mother's Day.
And
for the
thanks for
fam.
listening. Like, subscribe, check
Pow.
out our other stuff. We got a lot of good
Pow,
stuff
pow,
on there.
pow.
You're listening to TFP, the fan's perspective.
Can you dig it?
And we out.
Damn, Planet of the Apes, huh? That's what's going on in the streets.
Yeah.